like to bring the meeting to order. All right. Let me start with roll call. Kevin, I'm going to start on your side.
Here.
Kevin here. Rosemary?
I'm here.
Chair Rose, I'm sorry. We started the meeting.
We started the meeting. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Mark Burley.
Michael Adams.
And
Michael Adams here.
okay, perfect.
Mark Burley.
Okay.
We have a quorum.
All right. Darlene, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Sure.
All right.
Where is it? Oh, there it is. Ready? All right. Bring in the report. Ready? Begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening, for those of you here, as well as those of you at home watching on the internet. Thank you. All right, let's go through the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was March 21st. Mark?
I move to approve minutes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I can second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay, agenda review.
No changes.
No changes? Kevin?
Nope.
Michael?
changes.
Okay. So let's go to the consent agenda items, number 10 through 13. I just, for the audience, I'd like them to know a few of the things. Number one, the Highway Patrol will be conducting a maximum enforcement period over the Memorial Day weekend. It'll run from Friday, May 24th through Monday, May 27th. The focus will be seatbelt use. They do have a click it or ticket campaign going on right now, so everyone should make sure to use their seatbelts. Now, we're very lucky because the CHP is sending targeted units out to follow up on patrols throughout the Santa Rosa Valley, and citations are being provided for unsafe turns, unsafe passing, posted signage violations, unsafe speed, so we're very thankful for that. And May is National Bicycle Safety Month, so that's something to remember and watch out for those cyclists. If you know of anyone who would like to have a great career, the California Highway Patrol is hiring 1,000 officers. So those of you with kids who are thinking of careers to go into, this would be the time. All right. As we know, it's that time of year where our fire hazard has to be cleared, and the fire department will be issuing citations for those who have not done it. Okay, we have a graduation coming up for the fire department academy, and the Ventura County Fire Department is moving to its new headquarters on Caneo Spectrum Street in Thousand Oaks throughout May. All right, from the Ventura County Sheriff's Department. Is there anybody here? No. Residential burglaries are still happening throughout the county. Remember that they did talk to us in a previous meeting about a free household residential assessment. So the Ventura County Sheriff's Department will come to your home, walk through your home, and give you advice on how you protect yourselves better from any potential burglaries happening in the future.
Rosemary, they don't actually go into your home. They
Okay.
they walk around it.
They walk around.
Yeah, they don't go in.
Okay, thank you. I haven't had it done yet.
I did.
You did, great, that's wonderful to hear. Okay, now again, it's once again time for us to be careful of our trails. At this time, we're finding that the people that have been doing some of the burglaries have been hiding on the trails and accessing properties through them. So we do want to make sure that vehicles parked in your driveway does not leave anything like your purses or valuables, and also keep an eye out for your neighbors. It's a pretty easy consent agenda. They have had, Public Works has come out to assess and repair, the right green turn light at Moorpark Road and Santa Rosa Valley Road. And there was a request for the street sweeper to sweep the whole road and not just the shoulder.
You know, I noticed those too. That's something we put on the agenda, because I don't know if it's a suggestion.
If you want more discussion on that, yeah, we can put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
Would you like to, did you go on the next agenda?
Well-
An update on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we still had something about the street sweeping, picking up the particles that had been left from the repavement. So I think that would be a good idea to bring back and ask for an update.
Well, I'm asking specifically if somebody's suggesting, I mean, sometimes for that, in that system, they say trees falling down and Public Works take care of it. But if it's, hey, can you do something about the traffic signal? That's something we can take up as a
Right,
issue.
as an issue for the map.
So,
You can do it as an issue, you can bring it up as an agenda item, but you can also report it. If you have a specific incident, let's say your street, you could report that in the Public Works, either on their website or on the app as well. But I'll bring that forward.
ones that are suggestions more than a problem that is gonna get fixed, right?
Right.
Because
Okay.
otherwise it's just, they're talking into the, and then nobody really addresses it.
Well, on that particular one, it was a really good suggestion, because what's happening is they're just getting the shoulders, and they're missing the middle of the street. And so,
Well, I can see Public Works taking it. The one about the traffic signal,
oh,
timing,
the traffic signal,
that's the one that I think,
yes.
I guess transportation could come to us and talk about it, but
No, I was thinking more of an update specifically on the street sweeping, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
On that one is already in the works, and they're aware of that.
oh,
So-
public transit is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
then it would come to us.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, this is the point at which public comments. We do have one card, which is Vicki Smith, who would like to have a public comment. Now, public comments are restricted to 3 minutes.
Okay. Now, just sit here.
Well, you can get up and address the,
There's a microphone on the left.
Can we lower that mic a little? Sorry, Vicky.
Is this the public comments microphone?
See what I can do.
Or get her a box. There we go.
Thank you. All right. Good evening. I'm Vicki Smith. I'm coming from Bridlewood. I'm the president of the Bridlewood Homeowners Association. And I just wanted to bring it to your attention that we have a huge industrial generator installed at the corner of Vista Arroyo and Santa Rosa Road. Right now, we're in the investigation stage of it. It's, we have many concerns about it. It's right smack up against our equestrian trail. So that to me is a big concern. It's supposed to put out over 70 decibels of noise, which is a lot. It's an industrial generator, and it's also being filled by 210 gallons of diesel fuel, which means they're going to have to come in on our equestrian trail and fill it. My concern is the diesel fuel will spill on our trail. The big truck that will be bringing in the gas it could potentially spook horses, not to mention the big noise that this generator will put out. Now granted, it's for emergencies, it's for Verizon wireless, so that those of us who haven't had our cell phones working during a power outage is supposed to help make it work. But they're going to have to test it from time to time, and this is going to be, I believe, very loud. So I just want to bring it to your attention. Right now, we're investigating it and trying to find out all the particulars. It is in their, what they call the row, right of way, and I believe that's about it. But I wanted to tell you, it's very big.
and you can see it easily from the road. We call it a bunker, and right now, the Board of Bridlewood feels that it's in an unreasonable place, the entire board, so that's it.
Where did you say it was called again? The corner of what?
Vista Arroyo and Santa Rosa Road. You can't miss it when you drive down.
Concrete block, they just put it on.
Let's, it's down that.
It's right at the bottom, right at the bottom of the hill on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
It's a
There's
concrete
picture.
block.
A photo of it has been provided to us to look at.
It's
Okay.
also the first one of the entire county to be put in, we were told today.
So
So,
if a car hits it, is it
Ventura
like near
County.
the road, like near enough the road for a car to crash into it?
No.
What? No?
is it within the right of way of
see
the
it.
county, the right of way of
You see the
Verizon?
mountain.
Do they have an easement?
Supposedly, but that's being investigated.
Wait, supposedly
Right of way of Verizon. or
Verizon.
Of,
Okay, if you provide the property address, possibly we could do some investigating to see which easements it is, if you give me the address.
okay, I can do that, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Has anybody from your HOA heard this unit in operation yet?
No, I don't believe, they're still in the process of finishing it, and we have looked on the website of Generac to see, what it can do.
Uh-huh.
So that's how we know.
Okay, so you looked on the Generac website, the
Yes.
website said the unit puts out 70 dB.
Yes.
Okay, now,
And it
Give-
also says it's not supposed to be in a community of a residential area,
okay,
that's interesting.
and did it say why? Or,
because it's so loud.
oh, because it's loud?
And it's environmentally puts out a lot of, supposedly from the website, carcinogenic type gases.
I apologize, I came in late, but were you given a heads up of this?
No,
They just started
they
installing
just
it.
constructed it without telling us. Just put it in quick, really. I kept going down investigating, and every day, of course, I could never talk to anybody because they managed to go in and go out quick. So, no, we weren't told, and supposedly this was permitted back about 2.5 years ago. And it was in, well, no, it was permitted 6 months ago, but it was in the works supposedly about 2.5 years ago, but we were never told. Our thoughts were never put forward. And so, they did not consult us, and I guess they didn't consult the map.
Well, I'm curious, like when you're saying it's an easement, is it on someone's property?
Yes,
Was that person notified?
no. And they're not happy about it either.
No, I can't imagine. Okay. My other issue is honestly, if it does put out that kind of decibels and it's next to a horse trail,
Right,
I see it as a safety concern.
exactly.
Because if you spook horses, we know what can happen, somebody being airlifted.
Is this does it run nonstop?
No.
No,
Only
it's an
when power
emergency.
outages happen.
It's for emergency purposes, but they also have to keep it going, and they're going to test it
Right.
They'll test
Well, if
it
you don't run
every
them
month.
off and on.
If you don't test them
times.
regularly, they don't work, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably run them once
Well,
a week.
what worries me is, like right now, I know I just got a notice that my electricity's going off for the next few days.
That's right.
So I wonder if that's gonna go on at that point.
Madam Chair?
I don't know.
And
We need
run
to
the
be
whole
careful.
time on
And
contract
is this
24 hours.
enclosure, does it have a roof?
Public,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Okay.
No, it's kind of open to the air. There's maybe a light aluminum type roof, but no, I wouldn't call that a roof. I feel it's going to ricochet off the cement things they put up. The whole thing, it's a bunker. It's like, I think it's gonna ricochet off of that. It's even gonna be louder than probably you can imagine.
Well, Vicki, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. The MAC will,
I'm gonna bring it up in.
we'll bring it, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
all right. Do we have any other people who are here who would like to make some public comments? So now we're going to the regular agenda. No, I'm sorry, Supervisor,
No,
yes, right,
Well, Supervisor, yeah, let me go ahead and do that and then council.
yes.
Thank you, Madam. I cannot believe in like the last 3 weeks I've had to start using this. So. It's over with, right? All right. How many have heard of the pit count? Does anyone know what the pit count is?
Point in time.
Yep, point in time count. There you go. All right. So every year in the month of January, cities across the country do what's called a point in time count of the unhoused or homeless population. So the results from that came in. There was a slight decrease countywide, but in this district, which is District 2 for Supervisor Gorell's office, there was an increase. As part of that, the Board of Supervisors recently passed several measures to combat this in terms of just working with some of the issues that we're facing. First of all, they passed a measure allocating more resources to hire a director of homelessness and a director of housing. So it's interesting. We had not had a director when Supervisor Gorell came in, coming from Los Angeles as deputy mayor. They had a director of homelessness and housing there. And so anyway, he started asking a lot of questions, and that brought up the need to really have someone address this on a full-time basis. As part of that, $2.9 million in funding was raised to also provide housing for the unhoused. And then also they broke ground. This is something that's very interesting. Anyone see the news release on navigation? It's called Navigation? No. Okay, so there was an innovative program for transitional housing that was a cooperation between the county and the city of Thousand Oaks to put up temporary housing. And it was done in a quick manner and kind of sets the model for future projects like this where we can help get people into housing. Also, is anyone familiar with what's called Martin v. Boise? Okay, so you may ask, why can't we just move people from off the streets? There was legislation passed, it's now before the Supreme Court, called Martin v. Boise, which limits your ability, or law enforcement or any official, to remove them from the street. Okay? What you have to do before someone is removed is you have to offer equal number of beds. So going back to the pit count, whatever that pit count shows, you have to show that you have the equal number of housing for them. So what that does is that if let's say the city of Los Angeles, right, it's growing so quickly, to grow that many housing units is very difficult. Depending on which way the Supreme Court goes, if this is struck down in the Supreme Court, then that goes away, and it makes it easier for municipalities to deal with the situation. As part of that funding that took place, what the board allocated, also have what's called homeless liaison teams, units that go out. They're trained specifically in different, to handle mental illness, drug abuse, and all these different, and then some of the wraparound services. And so they directly meet and pretty much know everyone that's in the county, but it's been very difficult. So they've increased the number of deputies by 8, and then also 2 sergeants. Tonight we're going to go through this. We're going to have we're going to go through new MAC policies that are being brought before the board. It's really not going to affect this MAC as much, but we'll go through it. It's really to standardize MACs. So we're not the only district that has municipal advisory councils. And they were all kind of, when we started looking at the resolutions and how do they govern and things like that, there wasn't really standardization. So we looked at, I'll go through it in more detail as part of the agenda item, and you'll get an idea what that's about tonight. The supervisor will be attending the ribbon cutting for Stepping Stones. I saw Megan come in. Hi, Megan. And we're excited. This is really, and Culture will be here in a little bit to talk about this as well, but it's a kind of an innovative model where you're taking, like what you normally see in parks where you see either soccer teams or baseball teams, those are separate groups. Those organizations, AYSO, are not a part of a city or a county, but they have proven that there can be a good partnership. They help maintain fields and they help bring utilization, increase utilization of a park. So what we'll be talking about tonight is this unique model that's being set up between county parks and then Stepping Stone's writing program. There is a ribbon cutting we're doing on June 1st. We'll be going through that a little more as well. And so the supervisor's going to be there riding horses and bringing his kids too, so bring your camera. And that's about all I have. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
All right, now I'd like to council comments on items not on the agenda. Michael?
Well, I am the latest victim of the insurance companies not renewing my policy. I have a policy through State Farm, and I've been notified that I will no longer be able to renew that. So it gives us all a little extra motivation to take part in the Firewise program that we're initiating here. It's kind of interesting. I have a friend who lives in Florida. He's a pretty sharp guy, and one of the things that he mentioned is I told him the difficulty of getting insurance and the cost of it. And Kevin had told me that his fare plan had gone up by 50% in 1 year. Is that right, Kevin?
It went up to 17 grand from 5, 6 grand, 7 grand,
Something
It
like
doubled.
that, yeah. So one of his ideas was, could we come up with some sort of a community group buy program where we get an insurance company to agree to insure us and give us some sort of a discount if we all, or not everyone is going to agree to that, but those people who are having trouble getting insurance to then purchase insurance through this company and get some sort of a discount for the volume of that. So that was one of his ideas. The other idea is could we set up some sort of a buffer zone just around Santa Rosa Valley? I know that's going to be pretty difficult with being all private properties, but some way of buffering the community from fire. So anyway, just some things to think about. I've got some months to go before mine's gone, but I would not be surprised if quite a few people in our community got those type of notices.
Weird.
I have a question though. So remember the last MAC meeting when that happens, you can ask them to come out and review your property? Is that something that you can do?
Yeah, well, that was part of the Firewise Council. Now, this was looking at it more from a macro level. Okay, we put buffers around our homes. What about some sort of a buffer that's around the entire community? Is that?
Well, I was actually part of a real estate delegation that went up to Sacramento last week.
Oh,
And we actually met with Commissioner Laura. And one of the things that's happened is the California Fair Plan has been increased from 1.5 to $3 million. And that was specifically to help the people here in California. But honestly, from what I gathered at that meeting, and there was a subsequent meeting that Henry Stern set up, and I'd sent out announcements to everybody that they could watch it online, because it was live to watch, is the fact that, the reality of today is the fact that insurance companies are pulling out of California fire. The California Fair Plan supposedly has been increased, and it's gotten better, and we're going to be looking at policies that are wraparound policies, such as you'll have California Fair Plan for the majority, and then a wrap policy with Mercury or, another one. I know right now, in what I'm doing in selling real estate, I am not able to obtain insurance that is conventional insurance. I've got one client looking at Lloyd's of London at I think it was 17,000 they said today? Was that 20,000. I mean, this is for a house in Camelot, that to me isn't up on a ridge. But it is the reality of today. And we are unfortunately all going to be facing it. I think that pulls together more the fact that we need to all get behind the program that Kevin has spearheaded.
You guys need to be careful on, because it's not items that are on the agenda.
Okay,
So,
Okay.
council comments, we can always, you can request this though,
okay,
to be put on an agenda.
okay.
So, thank you.
But I can do council comments not on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so in respect to Firewise, it's not a silver bullet. People are starting to become aware of the program, but it's really it's the same kind of thing that the Ventura County Fire Department promotes and that private insurance companies are promoting. And it's mainly the home hardening idea that there's these 3 zones on your property to protect your structure. Zone 0 is 0 to 5 feet, then it goes 5 feet to 100, I think, and then beyond. So they're all sort of aiming at the same thing. It's, to Michael's point, only protecting that structure. Trying to do the whole valley, I would say, so that's my Firewise pitch. And then the other thing, on Firewise, the status of it is we're meeting with homeowner associations individually. Mark Roddy has met with his Highlands, Santa Rosa Highlands. He's also met with the Bridalwood HOA meeting. I met with Patty Meyer for Rancho POA. And so the Firewise program is trying to work from any leader we can find for a certain neighborhood and get the ball rolling to get that recognition. So, and that Firewise recognition doesn't guarantee a discount on your policy, but in my case, California Fair Plan, it's advertised, yes, I get a 10% discount if we would get the Priscilla people on board with the recognition. So there's that, but each individual insurance company, like you're saying, can come out, do the same kind of inspection, tell you to do the same kind of things, take down these trees, take down these bushes, get rid of this wooden fence, clean your gutters. Ventura County's just given us our notices for people in high-risk areas. 18,000 homes have to do their clearance, which is annual. So everybody's wanting to reduce the fire hazards. As far as doing the whole thingy, I know certain HOAs have a group HOA policy. Even those are getting canceled.
Right.
So an HOA might go, oh shoot, we got to get new insurance because those companies just pulled out. So that's not a silver bullet either.
Los Robles Townhomes in Thousand Oaks, their insurance policy for their HOA was canceled. And they actually became a Firewise community to obtain insurance. And it worked.
I saw they got it.
Yeah, they got it. And it was because
What was the name?
Los Robles Townhomes. So they're in Thousand Oaks, basically at Lynn and the freeway. Those Cherry Hill, I'm trying to think of the streets. Anyway, it's literally they had their homeowners insurance policy was canceled, and the way they were able to obtain one was having and joining and becoming a Firewise community, council community.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
So
It's a good thing that more and more insurance companies are recognizing and providing a discount, but it's all over the place.
it's
right now.
definitely working with them. It's not an automatic bullet, just like you said.
Okay, that's it.
All right, Mark?
Yeah, I would like to comment also about this Verizon structure and add a few more details. And thank Vicki for coming here tonight. So, what happened today was Vinewood had arranged with the county to have 2 members of Public Works come out, and we met with them on site. Alexander Villa and Gerald Weeks came out. They provided us some information. Some of this may be a little bit repetitive, but as you know, this is a generator that is designed to come on during a power outage. Right next to here, and some of you I've given to the members of the board these photographs, right next to this generator is a large underground facility that powers the cell towers that are on the right next door to it. So, the concerns are, first of all, before I forget, I would like to add this to the agenda for next meeting, please. The concerns are that this first inquiry was in 2021 from Verizon to put this in, and comments were given in 2022 by the county to them, and that's gone on. Finally, the permit was issued in 2023. During that whole time, nobody contacted either the homeowner next door, or the HOA, or the MAC to discuss the fact that a generator was being put right next to a horse trap. So that is a little concerning to me. That's very lacking in communication from the county. And you know, the whole point of having a MAC is that we can maybe review these things. Maybe it could have been put in a place that's safer. So the next item that again that you've mentioned is that this does have 200 gallons or whatever of diesel fuel in, and in order to maintain itself, the generator kicks in, and I have one at my house. It kicks in at certain times in order to keep the engine running. And then they have to come in, obviously, and feed that diesel back into it. One of the discussions that we had was maybe that could happen at the time when horses are not riding by there. We have not heard the sound of it. The other issue was that nobody from Public Works who was there today was able to tell us where the right-of-way line was. And I went on to the right-of-way line that is on the supervisors, for the supervisors, the online for Santa Rosa Valley, MAC. It has that on there. I thought I could see where it was. It looked like this thing is right at the edge of it. They're saying that you can't rely on that. So it would be really helpful to have somebody actually survey this so that we know exactly where the right-of-way line is and where the right-of-way for the county stops and where the property belongs, which is the Bridlewood property. So I would love to have, I don't know who we need. We need maybe somebody from Verizon. We need certainly somebody from the county to come and explain what's going on and how, you know, little communication there was. It's a little surprising to me. And if anybody wants to see the pictures, I'm going to leave them here. I've already sent them to supervisor's office, and Israel has them. So I will just add one little item, and this is to do with fire. I had a communication from somebody who told me that they had their insurance dropped, but they then did this 5-foot clearance thing, including removing mature trees next to their house. They were able to reinstate their insurance. So I don't know if that's something that we should, you know, whether that can happen. I'm with State Farm, so I was renewed last year, so let's see what happens this year. You know, I don't want to do that personally, but, you know, if it means you get insurance and you have to cut away everything, I mean, it's ugly having a 5-foot thing around you. All of us have spent a lot of time landscaping our places. But this is the new reality. Thank you. That's it.
I would like to add one thing about the generator, if I may. Rosa has backup generators, and there's one not too far from my house. You really have to listen hard to hear that generator. So there are quiet generators out there that are barely audible at all. So now, this one doesn't sound like one of those if it's at 70 dB, but you know, maybe they can use a different generator model that's quite a bit quieter.
Can I ask you what kind?
What kind of generator?
Yes.
Well, I don't know the brand, but it's up near one of their water towers. It is right next to other houses there. And, but it is a soundproof style generator, meaning the generator, engine, and generator unit are completely enclosed in a soundproof enclosure. It's not inside a bunker like this, it's just out in the open,
Yeah.
but it is designed specifically for low sound. Movie studios use these type of soundproof generators as well. You really have to listen hard to hear them. I have heard it, only because I knew the power was out and I happened to be walking by. I thought, let me see if I can hear that generator. No, I can't really hear it. Maybe I think I can hear it just barely. Yeah, it's possible that they could get a different generator in there, and everybody would be pretty happy.
Does it, the one you're talking about, does it run on diesel fuel?
Yeah, the ones they have run on diesel, yeah. And diesel engines typically can be noisier than gasoline engines,
Right.
but this is very, very quiet.
May I ask a question? I'm sorry, maybe this is out of order. When you saw the sign on the generator, do you get a model number?
Do I get a what?
Did you get a model number for the generator?
No, it just said industrial generator.
Okay, so
No
maybe
model.
when Verizon come, they can tell us what kind of a generator they have put in and what the sound effect is, because apparently the sound number that you got was off the internet. We don't know if it's a baffle generator or anything, but it would be really nice to know that from Verizon
But,
when they come.
but
next month.
remember, and you picked it up today because you were looking at the plans, the generator that's in there is not the one that's in the plans.
Correct.
The plans called for a Kohler. I happened to be down there, took pictures, it's not that.
Right. I'm
The
gonna have
Kohler is
to,
quieter.
I'm gonna have to say we need to move on from
Yeah.
having it.
Well, I would like to see this go on the agenda, as Mark mentioned, next month.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I just had one question and one comment. The comment is, I had the opportunity to be at Stepping Stones was it Friday? It was Friday morning, right?
Yeah.
And it looks amazing, really awesome. So I'm really excited about it. I even gave a flyer to, I work in Calabasas now, I'm a little late tonight, start a new job, but passed it around there, so it looks great. I did have a question, and forgive my ignorance on this. So we all know that the growth, all of the weeds and the mustard along the trails are crazy right now, right? I was gonna go down with the weed whacker between the location that is leased by Underwood Farms that goes through the
Oh, right.
arroyo.
Glenside.
Who usually clears that?
Me?
Right there. Okay, so I was gonna go down there,
Great.
but
That is an official trail
okay,
that the county has an easement that goes along the east side of that farm. It goes down into the arroyo up the other side, and then it goes over to the park. That is an official easement from the city of Thousand Oaks to the county. The county does not have the finances to keep it up, and I usually go every year. I have not got there yet this year. Any help that you want to give
yeah,
is appreciated.
I'm gonna do a minimal weed whacker machete.
Believe me, all donations or contributions.
Any help you want to give is appreciated.
Yes, no, and understand, the residents of Santa Rosa Valley have been wonderful. I mean, I know in Wildwood Ranch, there was a young man out there on a tractor clearing trails. His name is Joe Markowitz, by the way.
Good for him.
Yes, but I mean, truthfully, when you get a chance and you're able to do it, please do help, because we do depend on our neighbors to help us out.
Yep.
So, okay,
And we had a heavy weed season.
yes, really heavy weed season. So anyway, all right. Now, if there's no other comments from anyone here, I'm going to go to the regular agenda.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
just a point, on the consent agenda, if we can get a motion on the consent items.
Oh.
Yes, I would, I vote to receive and file the consent items, please.
Who would like to second that?
A second?
Okay, Michael seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay. Now we get to talk about stepping stones.
Madam Chair, so I received a text message. Coulter is on his way, but I guess his daughter or son received an award tonight from school. It's taking
Oh.
longer.
Well, why don't we
So we
hold
can maybe
off?
split that up.
Right.
We can start off and do the stepping stones part, and he can do his update on the overall amenities of parks.
Or would you like to go into the legislative committee update?
Let's do legislative.
Yeah, because then we'll keep that all together. So, I believe you're going to talk about that, Israel?
Or if also, we can both talk about it, but if you maybe want to talk about your experience and the training part of it,
Well, Supervisor Gorell has come up with something that I think is really wonderful, which is a training for the MAC members to get involved with the legislative side of their job and us being able to help you, the citizens, in figuring out what is important to you that is coming up on the supervisor's agenda. And what we do is we go through the agenda items and we provide Supervisor Gorell's office our input as to what we feel is important for our community that is noticed and taken care of. And we found it a great venue for us to be able to communicate to Supervisor Gorell so that when he's at the meeting, he knows how the MAC and our residents feel about these items. Does anybody else want to comment on this?
Well, I would like to comment. I would like to thank Supervisor Grau in being so proactive in terms of bringing the community involved in his work. It's just commendable, that type of communication that's been brought forth. So thank you very much.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, we're very thankful.
So I'm looking at this, and so you met the day before the Board of Supervisors meeting?
Well, we went through the agenda.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, I'm trying to figure out,
Right.
because they say agenda items, but I
Right.
don't know what the item is, but I see our
Well,
comments
we went through the whole, the agenda
Yeah.
for the next meeting.
the day before it.
Correct.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was great.
would you like to go through this? So every one of you in your agenda that you pulled up, this is part of the documents, that's part of your packet. So you can see that report. It just is an indication of some of the things that when they look at the agenda for the Board of Supervisors meetings, what they're able to do is look at some of the items and see if they pertain to either Santa Rosa Valley, or they could. It'd be, some things that maybe some opportunities. So some of the things that came out of that was interesting was one of the legislative committee members, Debbie Hunt, is also the chair for the Casa Conejo. She looked and saw that one of the communities was receiving grants for green school, for their schools, for green initiatives. And so that was brought up to the supervisor about could we bring some of those grants for some of our schools in this district. Other comments came up. There was questions about the Camarillo Airport expansion that's going on. There was funds that were allocated, and the question was, were those funds also going to include traffic mitigation and noise mitigation? And in this particular case, the funds were for the runways and also a couple of hangar improvements. But that was brought up. Let's see. On the farmer, this was also another interesting because I'm not sure if you guys are picking up on much of this on Somas Mac, but is everyone familiar with the Somas Ranch, the farm workers housing that's been, you guys have seen that?
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, and so there was an agenda item, not necessarily pertaining to that, but that there was $6 million for farm workers, $6 million allocated for farm workers, but for 400 farm workers. And the question was, does any of that money go toward the Somas farm workers housing? That counts for about $15,000 for a person. We're still, Supervisor, I don't know if you want to.
I don't know, we didn't get an answer for that.
Yeah, we didn't get, I didn't know.
Not
if you
yet,
received
no,
one.
we're still working on it.
There was item number 33. This particular one was for a program involving safety enhancements that is going on in various communities. And so talking about safe streets And could any of those dollars make sure that our communities here are being recognized and being included in that plan from Public Works to enhance?
We all wanted
safety?
to be part of that one.
And that was for bicycle and pedestrian.
And they committed to including the max in the collection of
Data.
information to make the assessments of where to do the Vision Zero improvements.
Yeah, I think we all wanted to be part of that one.
Yeah. These items have all been acted on, but they're just good examples of things that come to us twice a month, basically every other Tuesday. And if you don't know they're coming, and if you don't see them, then you may not have a chance to communicate with these legislative committees now, provide a direct communication on what we're actually voting on. And that stuff's really where the rubber meets the road, right? If we're voting on it, it matters. There's money involved, there's policy being made. And so that's really where it makes the most sense for the MAC to focus some attention to things, certainly.
All right, do you have anything further on that?
No.
Okay. I think we're at the point where we can go back to stepping stones.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start that, and then I can always pick up a culture.
Are we allowed to ask questions on any of this stuff or no? Sorry, I don't know the rule, like, when you guys were talking about this stuff that you're going over, which is great, but I'm just curious, new to this. Is it only public comment time, the only time we can ask anything?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
time. If you want to ask a question, I think it's important.
Okay. I just have a question, because I've been paying attention to regarding the Camarillo Airport, because I actually used to live right above it, and we've relocated out here. And I don't know how much Santa Rosa Valley is or isn't involved, since it's technically a different MAC, I'm guessing. I don't actually know.
There isn't a MAC there, that's a different district.
Okay, so do we have, like, as Santa Rosa Valley residents, because I'm just gonna be honest, like, it's actually louder here
Really?
with the airports and the planes than it was when I literally lived, like, I literally looked at it. And you guys are, like, you're the flight path. So I've actually noticed that it's tremendously louder here when the planes and stuff go over us than when I lived there, minus the air show, which was super cool because we like to watch it. But it might be something you want to pay a little bit more attention to, because if it does
Honestly,
continue to
we haven't ever
expand,
been kind of designated as a,
yeah, it's
a pathway.
Well, actually, we are on, Santa Rosa Valley is directly under the flight path for every plane coming from the north to LAX.
LAX, right?
To LAX.
Yeah.
And yes, it's loud.
I don't know who I'm looking at, but I
But then there's
I feel like
military
it's going
jets.
north.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not minus the military jets, because those are very
No,
distinct
not air
sounds.
show, but just recently, they did some exercise, and I got a notice that, hey, for the next month, we're gonna be doing this big regional, what? I don't know where it came from, but it's basically Point Magoo is
Yeah.
doing some
Those
major
are
thing.
different, I know those well, we have lots of military people, those are distinct plane and distinct sounds.
And they're loud.
I
They're
just-
awesome, though.
Yeah, exactly, like, I'm always like running to see those,
Yeah.
like, wait. I don't know, I just kind of noticed that it was something that because I still get all the notices from when I lived over there of all this Camarillo Save Our Skies
Well,
stuff.
I know
that's
we
going
were
on.
very concerned about an expansion, a huge expansion that
Right.
is not, at this point slated to happen.
Okay.
So,
Let's do
but,
that.
what?
They're doing improvements, but not necessarily expansions that would support any larger aircraft.
Right.
If any expansions like that happen to happen in Oxnard Airport, which is better suited for kind of larger aircraft.
Right.
But FAA controls the flight paths. There's an Aviation Advisory Commission and I appoint 2 people to that, and they do have input on what happens at the airport.
Awesome.
Improvements, noise at the airport itself. And so they meet just like the MAX, and they take public input.
Okay.
So there's a couple of different venues to provide concerns to,
Okay.
for sure.
How do we find out when they meet her?
Well, it's online. And yeah, I can dig here a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
So
about if we go to the Stepping Stone program? So Amy, would you like to take that over, or, because I know you've been working on it with Coulter and.
We have Coulter's here now.
Yeah, yes, there you are.
Are we talking about the ribbon cutting?
Yes,
Oh,
okay,
we'll look over.
come on up.
Great. Good evening, everyone.
Yes. Good evening. Oh, the lights are on.
Gotta move around a little bit. Coulter, can you use the microphone for the Absolutely. Thank you.
By the way, congratulations on your child getting the award tonight.
Academic excellence, gotta love that. We're also through the playoffs and our little baseball for Saturday, so, or through the championship game. So lots of fun. Spring, speaking of a few fun things, we have a really fun event, ribbon cutting ceremony for the Santa Rosa, at Santa Rosa Regional Park with the Stepping Stones Riding program. So June 1st, 10 to noon. A lot of fun things. It all times well with kind of our spring brushing, so we're getting the site brushed. Megan and her team are something 70–80% established and already have their program going. I've heard nothing but good things. And what else? Please join us for that. Other things related to the program. We understand and heard last time the information and approvals didn't get all the way out to everyone. So there's now an information flyer out there, Megan's contact info, standard times that you can expect to see them. And there's been a lot of shared use of the facility that we're aware of that has gone well. There hasn't been a use trend where we're concerned about conflict or amount of horses. So that's those aspects are going well. Other things, I know Costco finished their bridge just to the north, so that now connects. If you're riding that before a baseball game, be careful it does not connect back up to Rancho Canal Boulevard. It might be late.
Whoops.
So a little bit of first-hand experience for me on Saturday, but I made it on time. It was just red-faced and huffing and puffing. What else? Glad to answer any questions. I know these can get long.
Just your overall, we talked a little bit about just the parks in general and some of the overall amenities that the county offers, campgrounds, golf courses.
Yep. So us in a nutshell, so your Ventura County Parks Department, 15 regional parks, 3 golf courses. Of the regional parks, let me hit some of the highlights. Rincon Parkway, Berea, Hobson, our popular beach, 208 campsites on the beach. We are likely to be expanding. Punta Gorda lot is likely to be something we'll be expanding. It'll be kind of like a Rincon B lot, a back lot. Saturated use there. If you don't know those parks, it is hard to get in. They're booked every day through the peak season, 7 days a week. So inland Park, some of our highlights: Soul Park, Steckel Park, Toland if you go way inland, Oak Park. An older portfolio, a lot of it developed. Oldest parks, Camp Comfort, beautiful by the San Antonio Creek, oak trees. But a lot of deferred maintenance. So starting here, one big thing that's unique about our department is we operate as an enterprise fund. Some of you have heard that before. What does that mean? We operate off the fees we collect. We don't have a tax measure or don't just use a tiny bit of general fund to keep our community center rates low and a little bit of deferred maintenance, $300,000 a year for deferred maintenance. Our backlog of deferred maintenance when I arrived 4 years ago was $22.7 million. So $300,000 doesn't get you there. So what do? What does success look like? Grants, you chase a lot of grants. So fast forward then to now, we're 23, depending on how you count it, $1 million into awarded funded grants. Those are all, the design process has started. And in fact, if you go to Waring Park, you'll see that play equipment, that old play equipment structure is actually completed. So we've actually completed a few other highlights. Ojai Valley Trail, almost 40-year-old pavement, cracks, underbrushed, everything like that. That is also one of the grant-funded projects, so you'll see that starting this fall. You'll see that all get repaved, rebrushed. We're going to lose a lot of the fencing, which means it'll actually feel quite a bit wider. If you've ridden it, the fence is right on the edge of asphalt, so you have to ride in several feet. So with a lot of that fencing out, should be great. Let's see, other things about our portfolio, 466 campsites. Camping generates 65% of our revenue. The other double-digit number is the golf courses, and then everything else is a single-digit hit from facility rentals, community center rentals. Day use fees are 2% or less, so not a big impact to our budget. So that's us in a nutshell.
Locally, you have your Cowboy Nights coming up
I don't know.
at, right here, at McCray Ranch.
Oh, McCray Ranch
That
is
would be,
so-
Yeah.
yes.
That's here.
That's Tio.
Oh, that's the city of Tio.
yeah.
Okay.
We meet
Because
with
I
them.
thought CRPD, well, the other one that you're doing is the 4th of July fireworks. Because I was just part of a fundraising effort for that.
I do appreciate the credit for the fireworks, but it isn't. So this, a real quick overview of our structure. The 10 cities have a parks department.
CRPD.
And then there's 3 special districts that provide most of the parks that you see. So Rancho Simi, they're about close to a $60 million a year rec provider from Oak Park, not the county park, but near Agora. And then a lot of the Simi parks are Rancho Simi Rexon Park. Then CRPD's Thousand Oaks and Newberry Park. And so those are all, and then Pleasant Valley down in Camarillo, those are all special districts established where there's a tax measure for that boundary that serves them. So we don't have the tax measure that supports us. We are, of the 58 counties, we're the only one with this model, but when you have beachfront property and RV sites, you can find a way to make it work. What else? What other?
You know what, something that Jerry had brought up was taking some of the utilization from Santa Rosa Park and maybe looking at camping or RVing.
Sure. Yeah. So when I first started, so stepping back, business case, you have highly used parks for the, from camping inventory. So and you have an underused park that operates in the red. So Santa Rosa Park's also always operated in the red. So you're looking for, is there a win-win solution to amenitize that, or to make it revenue neutral or positive? So camping would work there. I've got about 12 other ideas to expand camping, so it would be way down on a execution plan just from the business case. And then we've understood from the MAC, we've been asked for an area plan before we entertain something like that, and we're committed to do that. It's not on our work plan these next couple of years.
What happened to the idea of the fly fishing pond?
I haven't heard from them in quite some time. I think just my opinion, that's an expensive, complex amenity that doesn't have an established user base. There's not an established fly fishing competition group that would, I think their membership, it's an idea I like and I would use it, but you can also practice casting in your cul-de-sac, and it is a tough fit for, but I haven't, and it was approached with a common thing we see, which is if we can fundraise for just the initial construction at a bare minimum cost, can we have this piece of land? And it's hard to get that as a yes, right? Because they didn't even have a start on their fundraiser yet. They wanted us to have a letter of commitment that we would approve it before they started fundraising, and it's not impossible to do that, but it is a stretch to commit land, as was pointed out, without having an area plan for the park.
Okay.
Couple of things about stepping stones. First of all, I'm glad to hear from what you're hearing that there doesn't seem to be a conflict of use. And I would just add that I have had a conversation with the writing program in the last month, and I don't know that we ever put this formally, but they did tell me that there would always be one of the arenas, the fenced arenas, available for public use at all times. So I think that was one of the issues that had been brought up by members of the community. So I'm happy to hear that. So, you know, anytime anybody wants to go ride their horse in the park, there will be a fenced arena available. I would also like to point out that in the last month or two, and those of you who follow social media may be aware of this, Stepping Stones Riding Program have reopened the water crossing trail with volunteers. The idea that Stepping Stones is helping with the maintenance of the park is great as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure that will continue. And then my last question, because I've heard so many times about, and this is sort of more technical than anything else, about how the fact that you're an enterprise, does the county pay for the personnel and the officers that are running the Parks Department? Is that part of the county's budget? Like your and all your colleagues, are they part of the county budget, or is that again part of the enterprise?
All of my staff are paid and funded with the enterprise fund. The three sources of funding we get from the general fund are the $300,000 for deferred maintenance. That's been a flat rate. That hasn't. There's no CPI adjustment. That was been about 12 years or something like that. The $50,000 per community center is to help us keep rates low. Every one of our community centers operates 30 to 70,000 in the red. So those are beyond the general fund. Those are subsidized by their fees and generally campers and golfers. So there's not any three-card Monty. We speak to 4 budget units, and our groups are paid out of 2 of them, our staff, which is our maintenance and capital improvement park projects.
Thank you.
And then I'd just like to, I can't remember how this, you know, you're talking about the camping and the overnight, that seemed to me, does not seem like a good fit for Santa Rosa Valley Park. I think we actually talked about that here in the MAC, and so I'm just putting that out there.
That's why I like the fly fishing, it's quiet.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you so much. And
Thank
you
you
know,
so much.
I'd like to bring up Megan, because she deserves so much
She's doing
credit
all
to join you in the,
all the hard work.
I was happy to just sit back there. Well, we moved in March 17th, so just 8 weeks. We've been there. The lesson started 6 weeks ago, and everything is rolling pretty smoothly. As Coulter and Marcos said, everything seems fine with sharing a space. There hasn't been problems or conflicts with using the arenas. Since we've been there, we'll have 2 horse shows. We already had one, and there's one this weekend. Community show open to anybody. And we also had a riding clinic, working equitation, that was canceled for rain, but that will get rescheduled. So, and we had the volunteer work day doing the creek crossing. So there's been a lot in a really short amount of time. We are still unpacking. I still have like a section of things that, you know, need to be built and put away, but it's getting done. And the volunteers are really tired, so it's slowing down, but it will be done, I think, probably, well, we're trying by the open house to have everything put up and cleaned up and looking good. So things are going really well, and we're looking forward to talking further about having some kind of fall fest or haunted spooky trail thing that we can be part of with the community and get people over there with the pumpkins and everything else.
sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, congratulations.
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Cole.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You also, before we leave that, there is a flyer there, I think everyone has it, but also it's now ready for dissemination. So we've got the approval from county council to put that out. Also, we have confirmed search and rescue and the sheriff's mounted unit.
Oh, great.
Yay,
Coming?
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that was as of today. So.
That's great.
Okay, Israel, the updates to the resolution and area map?
Yes, thank you. Let me go ahead and start this in now. So again, as part of your agenda packet, everyone has the new policy doc. So let me kind of back up. When we first started, and I mentioned before, there was a lot of inconsistency. So every MAC operates under what's called Government Code 31010. And what's interesting is it was established because cities have city councils. But it was recognized by the state of California that the unincorporated areas did not have representation. So the government code, and I'll be going through that, established that a supervisor could set up a MAC within their district for the sole purpose of the community, through the MAC members and through public input, advise the supervisor on items. Now, it's very specific. We're going to go through that in a second, but preceding that, we started looking at all the resolutions. And each MAC has a resolution. It's usually just a 1-2 page document. Some of them were more elaborate. In the case where here you have your elected officials, so you have a little more that is involved with your resolution, but they were all over the place. And so we started looking at this, and then we started looking at the idea that there really wasn't an operating document. So started searching, and we looked into Contra Costa County, and they had one of the best guidelines. It was really, they had a policy doc and they had a handbook on MACs. And so a lot of the stuff that was not mentioned in the resolutions, we've now included in this. So as part of this effort, it'll go before the Board of Supervisors, and it's really the process of standardizing how MACs operate, okay? So what that involves in the process is doing a resolution that kind of kicks it off. In your case, the resolution is not really impacted, except for when we did look at your resolution, and I've had conversations with a number of you regarding the precincts. So particularly because you are elected and there's elections that are held, it's very important that the MAC boundaries are accurate and represent the voters in your area. So in your case, your resolution is not changing that much. In some cases, they were all over the place, and it wasn't clear why this MAC, we had one particular MAC that had one reason why it was set up, and that was for planning. That was it. But issues like safety and public health and all those things that we talked about were not really in their scope of their work. So in your case, there is an update, and there is, let's see, if I can pull this up. So there is a new map. Can you guys see that over there? So about a year ago, we did a resolution that updated this area up in here. And then there was one that was missing in this area. And then see this section right here? So part of the MAC boundary becomes very important. We'll go through this on the document. But it really is what area is impacted. You know, and so there was discussion. This area here, as you're coming into the entrance on Santa Rosa Road, this is really kind of where you're exiting Camarillo and you're coming into Santa Rosa. But you never know. This is what we learned with Somas, for instance. When the farm worker housing project came in, it was kind of put into an area very similar to this. So what we're doing is we're expanding your MAC to include this area as well. Okay? The precinct, so there's a couple of ways that the code allows us to define a map. One is parcels. It's very difficult to list every single parcel. Another is precincts. So in your case, the precincts that are gonna be covered is Santa Rosa, and I know some of you, I think, Kevin, we've gone through these on a number of them, but if you're ever interested, this up here, and this is gonna go on our website shortly, as soon as we get confirmation on this, as well as the resolution, we'll disseminate this, and we'll also put this on your website. But this is just for going into this. So these are all of the precincts. So 2001, 2002, 3, all the way through 4, and then you start getting into Gabbard 2004, Gabbard 2005, and then Gabbard 2006. There was a confusion on your previous one where Santa Rosa 6, I believe, was omitted.
Yeah, there was a hole in the bold line there was actually a hole before, where they weren't in the MAC officially, because the last resolution somehow put them out of it.
So in this resolution, that will not be left out, and then you're having the addition. Now, there was discussion. This area over here,
That's Lexington, that wasn't part of this before.
no, that's the Underwood kind of, so the question became, is that something that's part of your map?
It really should be.
Um,
Lexington Hills?
What's that?
Lexington Hills.
It's in there.
Yeah,
No.
now it's in there, but I don't think it was before.
Yeah,
No, it was in there before.
They've been here, and they've come to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about the entrances and
Right.
redesign the entrance to that place?
The other area would be more of this, what would be considered Moore Park. So, and I'd like to hear from you on that, but for now, this is all in the draft stage, but that's been omitted. This area.
Could you explain to us the reason that you're adding
That
this
area.
area over here?
This area here?
Yeah, do you know what
Yes.
street that is? Is that like Hilltop?
No, that's Gary Road.
Yeah. He's
Does
doing
it
some
go
of the
past
Gary
here?
Road,
But
ag land.
What about Hilltop though? It seems
It's already in.
No, Hilltop's in there.
It's in there already.
No, Hilltop's all the
Hilltop's
way,
before.
Hilltop's
Oh,
all
no,
the
Hill
way,
Canyon,
all
I'm
the way
sorry.
down to.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I got
Hilltop's
Hill
the
Canyon
other
mixed up.
Hilltop-
Hilltop's
Hilltop's all the
near-
way down.
The reason why this,
Right.
Yeah, no, Hilltop's not
the
in.
reason why this was added is because what we found out with Somas Road, the ingress egress is one road. And if something was to be planned for this area, it could have an impact on your safety and some other issues.
Okay.
So I thought this would be a good idea to expand this based on the experience of what we had with Somas. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
And it's like, kind of like this, just like in Somas, the one where they put the farm worker housing, it kind of tucked it into this area.
But what housing is there in this little?
No, it's just farmland, so you have to remember.
Just the farm.
Okay, so let me give it, does everyone understand what SOAR is?
Yes.
Okay, so SOAR limits, it keeps everything open space, it limits development, with the exception of small farm production like goat cheese and farm worker housing. Okay? So let me give you an example of what's going on right now. Ventura County is one of the lowest in terms of housing, affordable housing. The state of California is really pushing, and to the point of making it so easy, it's what's called a ministerial application or permit process. And we have noticed that SOAR has an exemption for farm worker housing. Okay? So if you look at that, Somas Ranch, that's 350 units going in there. 2,000 people is going to increase the population of Somas by 50% with one development. It's impacting parking, it's so
So he's saying that would bring this part of the decision and input.
Yeah,
Right.
okay. First of all, there's no sewers here, right?
Yeah.
The reason they put that in, it's next to Camarillo, is because it's connected to the Camarillo's.
it is not.
It's not?
It is not. Camarillo originally said no, that's the upland sewer line. Then Camarillo came back and said yes, but in the meantime, the state wanted it so bad, Somas Ranch has its own sewage plant.
And you got a
Where
brine
does
line.
that connect to?
Now, the brine line is right next to it too. No, it's one of those reclamations, so they're not tied into the upland. They were able to get around that, and to push it through, the state even funded that.
Do you know where Gary Road is?
So, this is just Santa Rosa, it's the farmland that you see
Right.
I know where
on
it
the
is.
right hand.
But is Gary?
What I don't understand is, we're only an advisory. We don't actually control what happens there.
Right.
Okay, so let me give you a little more input.
Okay.
In the Summits MAC boundary, I don't know how or why, but that one corner where the farm worker housing was put was outside of the purview of the MAC.
Okay,
So they weren't even allowed to really
comment.
comment.
I like the idea of having comments. I just want to know, I want to understand that everybody else is saying, well, we know it's the farmland. I'm thinking it's the Gary land, but I'd like to know.
It is.
That is the Gary land that
I've
we're talking
looked
about.
at it, yeah.
We don't have to have that in there, but my only thought was because of what I've been dealing so much with over there, and by the way, traffic, the state just pushes these through, and
That brings us into having a venue, too.
and so, the other thing was on your Moore Park Road, Santa Rosa, that area, coming in from Moore Park, we thought about including that because you're impacted there. The problem with that is, that's another supervisor's district, and it would really get into,
Right.
murky waters at that point. So. And is that area really considered your map? Is that considered, Santa Rosa Valley?
Do
So
they have?
let me ask you this question. Have you had any conversations with people who live there?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Zero.
Well, the only thing I can think of is there is an event venue in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna be,
Well, they did come to us though
and we approved
and
it.
asked, because at the time realized that proposed area, it's actually in our map right now in the last resolution.
Right, okay.
So I don't know if they became aware of that, like, well, we better go talk to those people, because if they researched it, they would have
Right.
found out back then that they were in the map.
Remember they had the blueberry picking, that was so much fun?
Well, I think this is a good idea. I think we have to be forward thinking and not be blindsided
I agree.
by things that go on in the state. And whether we're just an advisory committee or not, it still could hold some weight in terms of making things happen in the direction that we want. So
Yeah.
And I think it's good to give our input. The only thing is we need to make sure we have an opportunity to give
Well,
input,
so-
which didn't happen on that
Okay.
bunker thing.
So let me
Yeah.
kind of give a little more context and history of that. It did go through very quietly, Summers Ranch did, very much like
Right.
this Verizon, but you're talking about 350 units.
We can,
And,
we can support.
and so there is I can tell you right now, there are developers scouring Ventura County
Right.
for farm worker housing locations.
Let me ask you a question if I could. So the property that's for sale, that was gonna be in between,
Camelot?
yeah, the one that's up for sale,
Yes.
could that possibly happen there?
Wait, are we, which one are we talking about?
We're talking about the one that they were
The
gonna do.
Wildwood Preserve.
Preserve, the one
Yes.
that's like across from Jennifer. I don't know. I don't
Let's
know
stick
what
to the
they-
subject
yeah.
here, people.
I have
Let's
no
stick to the
idea.
subject.
So-
Point of order, Madam Chair, point of order. I've read through this thing, and we need training on this, all of this, of how to run these meetings. So we can't go binging off the different things. So let's keep to this topic first.
Right.
So,
Okay.
the reason why, thank you, the reason why this is coming before you is this is not gone before the Board of Supervisors yet. I wanted to make sure you understood and had a say in why this boundary map is changing.
I agree.
Nothing else with your resolution is changing, okay?
I
So
understand.
everything's remaining the same, but you needed to know this is something and why, so.
I think it's important that we have an opportunity to provide comment on the developments that are
Yeah.
surrounding us.
Yeah, and to Israel's point, the Somas people, because it wasn't in their boundary, didn't have a leg to stand on.
Correct.
So on page 4 here, it does say, we can advise on such matters that relate to the territorial area of the MAC.
Correct.
So if we bring it into our territory, we have an official way to advise the county.
What it did,
How much weight that carries.
what it did by looking at these resolutions, it started making us ask a lot of questions. And then that triggered another thing. Triggered your boundary, triggered your resolutions. And now, we finally got to the point, wait a second, we have a policy now.
Right.
So we're not gonna go through this, word by word, but I want you to know what's coming down. in
I
regards
wish we
to.
could go over into Chiarahada too.
And to go back to you, we have a standing order with the supervisor. Any land development that happens within our MAC
Right.
boundary, we get pulled into that process automatically, right? We establish that.
Yeah, but we did before too, and that one program was still gonna go through, so. that's
Well,
that's
no,
what freaks
but
me
I'm
out.
just saying, we get
Right.
notified. We wouldn't have the situation of a Verizon thing because if, it wouldn't be going through on the quiet like it did for the Summers people. Because
Yeah,
we have a standing order, if it's within our boundary, we're in the loop of the planning process.
yeah, I get it, I get
And
it.
that's why we couldn't comment before on the,
Yeah, we had to like hold our comments
well,
back.
no, on the growing in Chiarahada Valley.
Right,
Remember, we couldn't come in it because it's
Exactly.
outside our jurisdiction.
yeah, but then it's interesting when Jeff, when I first asked him the question, can we talk about things outside our boundaries? Like, yeah, sure, we can talk about it. So, but,
We can't provide input for it.
oh.
We can talk about it, we
So,
can't provide
like
input.
you're to pass a motion or you try to, something like that. But what we're doing is we're recognizing on a couple of things. One, if you go through here, just government code, you can always look it up, 31010. To just establish the max. But what's interesting is what you'll see over here is this is where I was making reference to the scope. So a lot of resolutions were all over the place, but this was the original area for advising. So it says to advise the board on such matters related to the designated area.
Right.
We talked about your map. But now, here's the areas that you are to give advice on. Public safety, planning, public health, public works, and matters of interest. That's where it gets a little interesting.
Expands it.
Yeah, and we've also included in ours, we've added the word welfare. So matters of welfare.
Yeah, but like you said, not limited to.
Right.
So we can even go beyond those
You could go
things.
beyond. But what this is establishing, at least so that you know, as part of MAC members, hey, now, as we talk about the business plan, what it is affected that. We now have the categories, public safety, planning. And what I've noticed is as you look at public safety, it includes a lot of things, like safe roads, crime, it's not just,
Right.
so, yeah, fire. So all of these come under, it just works
It is
perfectly.
Where does insurance, home
Yeah.
insurance?
Welfare,
Welfare.
matters.
Yeah, no, but this does expand our,
It does,
it does.
it does.
I see it.
So what we're doing is we're going through and, again, the purpose of municipal advisory councils is to provide. Now, it also states in here that each MAC advises to the district supervisor that has that designated area there.
Correct.
So, which makes sense, but that wasn't even stipulated in a lot of them. So, advice, okay. In this case, MAC member assignment, so you'll see here, these are the number of MACs right now, and then that's the corresponding district. Okay. We kind of talked about scope again.
There's
Yeah, go ahead. So again, public health
Why
is,
is it in square brackets? No, the copy we have is different.
we actually defined it here a little more. That's where the welfare is coming in. We can also include, if we want to, this is all draft, we can go back and include welfare and matters of interest. I kind of want to know what the difference is, but do you guys see a difference between, so welfare would be, for instance, the insurance or water issues, or I can tell you that, another one is like the outages, right? Because that doesn't necessarily come under planning,
Definitely comes under public welfare.
but under welfare, so, or matters of interest, so. That's where you get into that. By the way, that's another battle that this race is ready to really take on. There's a lot of issues with Edison right now, just across the board. Okay, appointed MAC members, in your case, you're not appointed. So you're elected. So there's, now we're including, what does it mean to be elected? And so that's going into your policy manual. Your resolution did cover some of that, so, but we've expanded it a little bit. You're governed by the Brown Act, conflict of interest code. Each of you has a Form 700 that you filled out. So termination. What's interesting is on one of the things.
Israel, we don't fill out a Form 700.
Oh, you guys don't as elected.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do that as on my other board, but not on this board.
Huh. Okay.
Okay.
Unscheduled vacancies. this wasn't even in a lot of the resolutions, except in one or two mentioned code section 1770. So what we did is in the policy manual, because that may come up from time to time, it really kind of spells it out. What are,
Travis Gardner moved out of the area.
yeah, and that is another part, because we have known people that moved out of the area, but no one knew it necessarily, and they would come back for meetings and MAC alternate positions.
She'd love to be on that.
We have an alternate position for Costanejo, or no, yeah, Costanejo has an alternate. We also have a student representative. So those are things that you can talk about if you want to add that. We describe what's the role of the chair, the vice chair, pro tem, secretary. Here's an interesting. I am your designated secretary of record, but I'm more than willing to see you appoint. I love minutes. Oh my gosh. So, do I get an amen?
Amen.
So if one of you wants to take on that role, we can do that. But I think this is the part, and to Kevin's point, and to,
That has changed.
a lot of this is around,
Wait, go back up.
yes,
Something just changed here.
what's that?
MAC meetings shall be held at least quarterly.
Okay, oh, I'm so glad you got that. All right.
Yes, I caught that.
Currently, just in our district, we hold 28 MAC meetings. Do I get an amen?
Amen.
So, one of the things that's been talked about is that we go to quarterly meetings. However, we added committees in here, subcommittees, and there's a difference between, you know, if you guys probably know this, but because you serve on different ways, but ad hoc committee would not require a Brown Act. So it's two of you, which is less than a quorum. And let's say something comes up and maybe it's the Verizon thing. And Madam Chair, you want to appoint two people or, you know, ask for a motion to investigate that. That does not require you to agenda, you know, put it, to post it, to have an agenda, to have minutes. It's just something they can report on it as part of council comments, things like that, or an agenda item. But a subcommittee versus an ad hoc committee, subcommittee would be where I do have to post it. It's according to the Brown Act, 72 hours. I have to have minutes and agenda, which I'm not opposed to. So going to the quarterly meetings, you may want to subsidize some of the things like the business planning section to a subcommittee.
Is quarterly going to happen?
No. Not yet.
Got it.
But
I want to go back to the
caveat,
committees.
it could.
Okay, let's go back to the committees, okay? Let's use this as an example.
Yeah.
Okay, so the committee members would be no more than one person on the MAC or two people on the MAC?
So an ad hoc committee is not, there's no public involvement.
Okay.
It's two MAC members, you're less than a quorum. It's been
Okay, so
designated.
let's go to subcommittee to get to people on, not
Yes,
on the MAC.
subcommittee is where it's three or more. It doesn't have to be the whole. It doesn't have to be the whole council.
But how many people on the MAC?
Three.
Has to have
Minimum,
three
minimum of three.
for a,
Quorum.
for an ad hoc committee.
No.
No,
For a
Subcommittee.
subcommittee, okay.
And then that has a different purpose. That's maybe a bigger project, and you want public input.
Right,
And so that's where like a business plan, where you want to have, you know, input on items like, hey, what do you see as the big issues for public safety, or noise, or road congestion, or, you know, so these are some of the things where you can move that into a subcommittee.
so I could see Firewise being a subcommittee,
Yes,
all right?
very good example.
I could see, the issue over outages
Yes.
as being a subcommittee.
Yes. And here's why you go to the quarterly. Now it makes my job hard. I don't know that we publicly stream all of this. But if you go to quarterly, your quarterly can change to be more beefier on the reporting from your subcommittee and your ad hoc committees.
Right.
Because here it's so hard in a 2-hour agenda, as we've noticed, to do business planning.
Right.
So this is something for you guys, you know, to talk about.
The problem is the subcommittee wouldn't have an established meeting.
No, it is, subcommittee isn't established.
But with like you here and.
Yes.
Oh,
It
okay,
is
so
a
it is a real
complete
thing. So
Brown
then,
Act
so
meeting.
it could be in between
That's, you're now
Right,
you
now
get it. Because reducing the quarterly to a quarterly MAC meetings, but subsidizing it with ad hoc and subcommittees,
I got it.
I think might be a way. But to say we're gonna have,
But who
continue to have MAC meetings every other month plus subcommittees, it's already, we're small.
Who calls the subcommittee? So if it was quarterly?
It'd be you.
Idea.
So we would have, that would be something where you would have input with the supervisor. It's not gonna be made without your input on that. But the idea is to build more flexibility into this so that you get more done, but maybe make your quarterly meetings more beefy with reports coming from the subcommittees plus other agenda items that come up. Not there yet, but
I'm just worried if there wouldn't be enough subcommittees called so the public could have, you know what I mean? That's my worry.
nothing
Well, I
has to
think-
change. What I'm telling you is we're building into this manual and the policy guideline the flexibility to do that.
As of right now, I feel more comfortable with the every other month rather than quarterly.
What's that?
Truthfully, right now, I feel much more comfortable with the every other month meeting rather than the quarterly. But I could see
but you're
for
not getting
certain things
done.
like Firewise,
Yeah.
adding that to it.
Then you guys are gonna be the secretary, one of you.
Right, I understand.
So, all right, I'm giving you a bad time, but just so that you see, now, we have literally outlined everything for decorum for a meeting, starting with call to order, roll call, minutes. So if you notice today, I was trying to keep down to point a little more. I'm actually learning a lot more of this too. Consent items, public comment, and here you go into everything in public comment. In the case, like for instance, where we had a lot of people show up, over a couple instances. One, the paved road, the other was, what's our big one? That was the,
Stepping stones.
yes, stepping stones, yeah. So in those cases where you have a lot of people, there's guidelines to here as to how you can handle that flow. Public comment, I'm going to give you an example of something that you guys may find interesting, is that county council took out where we were taking out the use of, they couldn't use profane language and stuff like that in public comments. We had that in there. County council took it out.
Freedom of speech?
Freedom of speech. However, it does come into play a little later on when you're not in a public comment scenario, but you're in a situation where you're trying to govern on agenda items and things like that, and you're outside of public comment, and you get outbursts of people that are being unruly, that's in there. So anything that disrupts the meeting outside of those 3 minutes, so those 3 minutes, if you want to come in and,
The other thing I just noticed is no more than 30 minutes total.
okay.
So we're talking about 10 people.
Yes, and you're talking about if there's, a person has multiple items, you limit the time, I believe to 5 minutes total. If there's a huge group, like in Oak Park, pickleball, might set the world on fire over there. Between the tennis players and the pickleball people, I don't know, how many people showed up?
50, 60, it was.
And they're all warring against each other, there's outbursts and stuff like that. So this is a way to be able, even to, stop a meeting, to call a meeting, to have a point of time to recess.
Now, Israel, before you do that, the one thing at the Board of Supervisors meetings, they're really strict that public comments, the board limits their discussion of what the public is bringing up at that point.
They do.
So we don't seem to do that. We can spin off into a lot of discussions, and then we gotta reel it back in. Wait a minute, this isn't on our agenda. So there's more discipline in the supervisors' meetings, that the supervisors don't use that time to start problem solving.
They do not even discuss.
They don't even discuss, they
Don't.
just listen that whole time.
The
You know what,
clerk of the
and I'm
board-
sure, I know I'm guilty of that. I know,
Well, I think we all are.
Well, everyone, and all the backs, it's not.
But
it's not-
like, to your
I
point,
just
it's like,
think it's
well,
rude
it's not
not to
that formal of a
respond.
meeting. It's like, if we make it that strict, it's like, it's not, it makes it more informal, which is good, but then it gets a little bit lengthy then. right?
And part of where we are is we're in a transitional period. There's an education not only with the MAC members, myself, but also you guys, because your input is very, very important. But when that input happens is also very important because there's a flow to the agenda. And that's all it is. It's to give an opportunity for everyone to say their piece. And at times, you know, you may want to ask things, but it is completely different. You watch the Board of Supervisors meetings, you'll see, because they have 50, 60 agenda
But I
items.
think like before the meetings happen, it would be good to have like a heads up, like, hey, just, you know, we're really, because it's hard to
The other
say, no,
thing-
you can only talk for 3 minutes.
Well, the other thing is that we don't do, I know, and that the Board of Supervisors, they do, is when a person speaks, they're supposed to say their name, their residence. And I know because we're so informal here, we don't do that. And I know that is what we should do, and especially for poor Israel, who is the secretary. He has to write these people's names down.
Also, you should run a timer for each speaker.
I bought a timer. Where is it?
That's on your
Where'd it
iPhone.
go?
My office.
On an
It's at your
iPhone.
office? I went
It
out
was
and
supposed to be in this
bought
box tonight.
I bought a timer.
It's right there. Okay, you are correct.
But you know what's really nice is when public speakers fill these out, we can hand this to Israel, so he'll be able to.
Yeah.
So hand it over to Israel.
And you see, like, just things, motions. Again, we're not going to go through all this, but I want you to see what we're trying to do on our side is, here's like debate between MAC members, right? Here, an item comes up, it's an issue of contention or yeah,
Interruption? What's that?
so interruption, points of order.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
So if you haven't had a chance to read this, make sure you bring your reading glasses again, a cup of hot chocolate or something, coffee. But it is going to be something I think that we have to talk about and implement for your benefit.
Quickly bang the gavel. Wow,
Yeah.
what a time.
Get ready, boys,
And then training requirements. So this is something that wasn't even really, Contra Costa County had this in there because there should be at the end of the year, this is more on me, Secretary, I have to have a record of all the training that each of you went through.
We have to go through ethics training,
Yes.
but we
There's
do
the
that.
Form 700.
Yeah.
And then,
Check that with the county.
yeah,
They're
check
not-
that
they're not
because
sensitive to
they
it.
don't usually miss that. So it may be that because of your elected
What is
position.
Form 700?
That's where you have to declare your conflict of interest. Like, you have to basically spell out,
I thought we do.
do you do that?
Yeah.
So you
We
say
signed
all your
something.
investments, how much money you
One
got here.
time.
and
Oh,
there.
not investments.
Investments.
No, that one they didn't ask for.
Yeah.
This,
They
we've
said
never
this,
done that.
no, they said that this position doesn't have that because we don't have an income or a budget.
Something like that. Yeah, there's.
no, none of them have income or budgets and we're fill out Form 700 and the others. I think that's
We're
not
not-
because you're elected,
Oh, because we're elected.
but you're duly elected. So it could be that.
Hmm.
Do you already fill that out as part of your papers
When
To
you
fill-
start.
when you
When
start?
yes.
But not our investments.
Okay, I'll have to look at that. There may be something that substitutes the
I don't
Form
remember putting
700 then.
investments
Okay,
Well, there was a field to do it, I believe,
Yeah, I kind of remember
Yeah.
the form when I first
Yeah.
started.
because I was like, what do I need
in.
to do?
Well, I know when we go
I'll look into that
to
because that's
turn in
probably
our
what it is.
election things, but then there's things about campaign funds and all that stuff.
This is a yearly thing that I have to do
Really?
for my.
We do it yearly in ours.
Conservation.
It's our position.
Really?
Yeah, even in our position.
Well, maybe we need to find out if we're supposed to be doing that.
I will find that out, Form 700. Now, before we go, this is one area, it doesn't really affect you guys as much, because honestly, this is a really good board. I really appreciate, because sometimes we get into situations where we have someone that's very outspoken on a particular issue, and they forget what their role is to do, is to be in that advising role. And we've had MAC members go before the Board of Supervisors or other planning commissions or whatever, which they can do. That's their right to do as an individual.
As an individual.
But they'll say, oh, I'm chairman of the MAC, and and this is what and that they're now speaking on behalf of the MAC, and that's the point about order. So this talks about that.
Well, we talked as well.
Annual reports. This again was kind of like your business planning, but there should be a record of what was accomplished. Now we did that kind of just out of this is what we did this year, and we talked about some of those things. But as a MAC, I think it's really good for you guys to be able to look at and say, hey, for 2024, this is what we did, and just start listing those things out. Also includes things like we may want to start talking about budgets. We may want to start allocating a budget of monies for max. So we have that in here for that possibility, but that's something that has to go as a vote before the board of supervisors as well. But the Contra Costa and some of the other counties have 3,000, 5,000. Termination of MAC, this isn't all of it, that was consistent in all of them. It's never been done. I don't ever see this really being enacted, but there are cases, well, actually having said that, there are cases where there's some community action groups, they're similar, where they just stopped meeting, minutes were never really, produced, and so they've been terminated. Again, it can be terminated within 30 days, but it requires the signatures of all the board of records. Try to get you out of here early, but I hope you see where the direction that we're, from the day that we came into office,
Standardizing.
we've been trying to just, add this. So there's nothing bad in here. It's nothing that both your scope is being expanded in terms of your boundaries and also your power.
Great job.
Could you give us an update on the timeline of when this is being adopted?
Yeah, this is why I wanted to bring this to you.
Will we get a chance to
Yes.
meet at the next meeting, give comments on this? How long is this going to happen?
Okay, what I would like is this is something that's not necessarily, unless you see that there's something in here you don't like. I'll give you an example. Gosneo, they're not elected. They didn't like the word coterminous. I hope I'm saying that right. Coterminous. Coterminous, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Coterminous means that your appointment goes with the county supervisor who's in office. So even though you might be, because your terms are all staggered, they're staggered as well in appointments. So you don't all come up for election at the same time. But what it meant is that they didn't like the idea that a supervisor would come in middle of their term and say, the supervisor could appoint someone else.
Right.
And so in your case, that cannot happen. You serve
Right,
a
'cause
four-year
we're
elected
elected.
term. So
We were originally appointed, and then we became elected.
I know.
So the will of the people.
Read that. I still would like to know the history behind that, but
Can I ask one
Yes.
question?
yes.
The revised map boundary that you were discussing earlier, is that a separate issue from the MAC rules here?
Okay, so all
'Cause I see
all three are rolling in as a package. So what we're doing is we are rewriting our resolutions for the maps at the same time, because the resolution, the way this resolution is written, you're going to see it here, that just about every area, and what I'm going to do is I'll get this to you as well, it points to the policy doc. So your resolution now, instead of having a 30-page resolution, it says, in this particular area,
It's 2 pages.
refer to the policy doc.
All right.
So your boundary, which is an important part of your resolution, and tied to the MAC policy document, and the resolution, all three of those are going to go before the board.
May I ask you to go back to the boundary situation, please?
Yeah, on the map?
The boundary map. Okay, so I have 2 questions, and maybe more. First of all, why are you only extending the boundary north of Santa Rosa Road?
Oh, rather than on this side?
Yes. And the second question is, why would you not extend the boundary all the way to Camarillo? Because people can put agricultural housing anywhere in that area, and it would have a huge impact on the traffic to Santa Rosa Valley.
All the way up to the city, like we're.
All the way up to the city.
Okay.
Is that all
That's a good
Jeff's precincts?
Yes, it is. All the way to Camarillo.
Here's the problem.
Camarillo hits then Kelly Long.
Okay, so I do have a timing issue with this. This is not something to try to get out of anything. You have an election coming up. And so we also have to get this before the board So I can see if I can have this rewritten and the maps done, to do that.
Because the voters have to be able to.
But I have to also line up the new resolution with the timing of your election.
Because you need to add the new homes to the voting records.
Yes. Right now, this is ready to roll as we go. We can always do an updated resolution. But I think I can get it done, but that's the only caveat, is that I'm up against the fact that I have timing right now by, within the next 3 weeks to get everything to the clerk of the board. And then, but this has to also be voted on by the board of supervisors.
Right.
So,
I'm just,
no, it's a good
because
question.
I feel like we haven't had any discussion about it, and it's being sprung on us a little bit without any discussions. And what you're saying is the reason to do this is, the main reason, or only reason I've heard you say, is to do with protecting ourselves from agricultural housing. Am I wrong?
Being able to get input on agriculture.
I would say that that's the sole reason, because nothing else, because of SOAR, can be done in that area except for small manufacturing processing, which is very limited, or a farm worker housing project.
Okay.
So I don't anticipate anything else within those areas.
But
I simply
why
call
do you pick on that little bit of Santa Rosa
I know, I
Valley?
don't understand.
Only
I don't
because
understand why you picked on that
Because
tiny little
it's
bit.
already in our boundary. It's in our
It's in
boundary
your
right
boundary.
It's
now.
never been in our boundary.
No, it is right now, Mark. That's what the point I'm trying to make. I did the research in the last resolution that went through. It got thrown in. It got thrown in because they thought they were putting something over here in there, and they made a mistake on naming the precincts. So we got right now, we got a donut hole where we're not a map there, and we got that
You're saying
in our
it's
map.
already in?
Yes.
Then why are we having a discussion about it?
Is this part of the new map
We have to get the
regulations
donut,
here?
we have to get the donut hole back in.
We need to
Yeah,
fix the
Of course,
donut hole.
that makes sense.
So we have to do a new resolution.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry,
I,
did I break some rules?
I think you did.
I wasn't gonna say anything if you were.
Actually, you made it clear, thank you.
Okay,
you're not allowed to raise your voice, it's in the rule.
But you know what,
put a muzzle on that dog.
he just clarified it, so we appreciate it.
Okay, where do we go from there?
To an adjournment.
That's it.
No, I mean tomorrow.
So are we voting on this at some point?
Well, I think we should advise him, we like him to try to go the whole valley, that's, like you just
You're saying
suggested.
it's too late.
Well,
No,
he said he could try.
No, well, here's the process. I have to have the official county person, Madonna County, who does all our maps. I have to get that to that person. In addition, I have to update the resolution. I don't see that as a big problem, but we had to really push. I didn't realize how busy a map person is to get this done.
And they screwed up last time, so
So,
watch it again.
Apparently.
so I'm going to try. We can always update it later. To your point, I always considered those other areas more Camarillo. That might be my mistake.
Okay.
Well, they're unincorporated county.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, to me, until we
Okay,
hit the
it's a
city,
valid
we
point.
should.
Okay, I'm going to give it my best effort to
We'll
do
be
that.
bringing Mr. Lamb into the mix. Hey, Mark, what you're suggesting
I'm
is we
suggesting we take
get-
the whole
we
valley.
get the Lamb family.
We should be like Russia, we
I think we should let these people know.
No, see, that way we'd be taking in Barron Brothers land,
And another venue.
and another venue, and Marbella, right?
That's Maravilla
Yeah.
Court, Maravilla Gardens, that's the
All
venue.
the way up to,
I know. I just think,
Camarosa.
I feel like we haven't had very much discussion on this, and it suddenly happened, and I feel like,
Well, that's the point of all this.
Okay, but I like the idea that Mark had just said, can we add that as a motion?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
Mark, motion.
Sure.
But, okay. You have to have.
Michael, motion, if he's not ready to do it, you do it.
All right,
You make the
I make a
motion.
motion to extend the map boundary to the Camarillo border.
To the end of our supervisor's district. On the Camarillo border side, city Camarillo side.
do we actually know that those are the same?
Is that the?
Okay, good point,
I
because,
think city of Camarillo starts Kelly Wong's district.
yes, it does.
Okay.
We have, for instance, Leisure Village, then all of a sudden just like, right, a line goes right across at the end of Leisure Village and it cuts out.
Right.
You're talking
So
about
wait,
where.
you have Leisure Village?
We do,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh my God.
but we don't have
But
the other.
that's, that's the city of that's in the city of Camarillo.
But it does, yes, that's in our district.
Right, but that's in
That's
our,
in the supervisor's district?
That's in the city.
yeah, but that's also the city of
As in
Camarillo. The
South-
minute we hit the city, we
Thousand
don't
Oaks
have
is
to.
the
Right,
six in our
right,
district too.
Okay, well, I would like to make the motion. Can I make the motion, Mike?
Wait, you had to.
Sure.
Okay, all right. You'll read about it later. Go ahead.
You know, I hate to say this, not one piece of communication has been had with all of those people that live in that area, and you're suddenly, I know I suggested it or said, why doesn't it happen? But this is like really rushing things.
But realize, we are bringing them representation where they have zero now.
But here's the problem. This is what I have to confirm. In the unincorporated areas for voting precincts, what I have to look at is if you include some of those other areas, if they're unincorporated, that's what I have to look. So
Only
right
unincorporated.
now, by just doing this little thing, I don't impact anything, other than I try to protect what your ingress and egress is into Santa Rosa Valley. That was where I was coming
The
from.
residential in the San Jose Valley.
What I now look at, if I have to go to residential, are they gonna be voting on you in your election? Those are things I have to think about.
They would be.
All right.
But you know, they would also have representation where they have none now.
But maybe they like it that way.
Well, we're
Yeah,
talking
no,
about,
I'm serious.
Yeah.
I've talked to these people before and they're not interested in being in the map.
well,
Exactly.
like Hilltop Lane, they would like to be in the
Well,
map.
we're not interested in
Hilltop Lane, I
having a
think,
huge
is in, it's not
housing
Camarillo.
project going either.
I don't think
No,
they
we're not.
Is that considered Santa Rosa Valley in your mind?
So let
No,
me ask you
Hilltop
this
Lane
question.
is not in Camarillo.
What, which one?
You'll talk.
Here, I can pull it up and show you.
Across from Bear Brothers.
Oh,
I thought that
Okay,
was,
we got-
yeah, Hilltop Lane is at
I'm
the
kind of
front.
with Mark in this, that
I don't know.
we need more discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Well,
So maybe the motion is,
Just to go with this and then change it later?
yeah,
You
Okay.
can always do it right
well,
now.
let's go with what he's got, because I think we can,
I think there's a risk to that, though.
even the chunk there,
Well, no, by not extending it to the Camarillo border, if we don't move on it now, and we wait, well, between that time and you know, to where we're waiting to, the housing project could be proposed.
And, you
Are
know,
you talking
honestly,
about
think we
north
should
of
wait.
Upland, all that
No.
area?
but I'm thinking about like Barron Brothers, they're out
No,
of
no, Upland
business.
is in
Right.
Camarillo.
What is gonna go in there?
When you get to Camarosa Water District, you're in Camarillo.
Okay.
Correct.
yeah.
Okay, so what's the
Let's go to the
motion?
map of Camarillo and see where it ends.
So,
Well, you were on the right track. Michael was on the right track with that motion.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
unincorporated area only.
right, I wanted to refine it, just saying, that Jeff Garrell's
District.
precinct, add his precincts that are west of the current back boundaries, that are not in the city of Camarillo at all.
Well,
Okay,
we
well,
don't have
that
to,
would establish the
right.
western
We
boundary.
can't
but
go
now how
to the
about
city
north?
anymore, outside the city.
The
It's
northern
still, it's
boundary?
still his, it's still his.
Well, I mean, if you look at this map, you know, we have a north and south boundary of
I don't
the
suppose
map.
you have
No,
a,
but remember, the Santa Rosa Road is.
do you have a District 2 map by any chance?
Yes.
That would be helpful.
I think the city of Camarillo.
Thank you. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool system.
It is a GIS system, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm using for Firewise to figure out where all the parts
It's
are.
really, when they put that in, it's really impressive.
There's a layer for the
Okay.
All right.
precincts.
Are you able to zoom in a little bit?
Yeah, See, I don't have my mouse, so this is always the hard part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
I spent hours trying to figure out where these were in our current map boundaries.
Will that cause a problem in Firewise?
No.
Okay, Santa Rosa Valley. So right now, that chunk that I'm including see how.
Is that it?
There.
Zooming, you get more
You
information.
get more information.
Whoa, that's too much
That's a
zooming.
lot.
Okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
see, here's Hilltop. Those are the ones I wanted to see, right there. See, I think that's,
Oh, there we go, stop.
I know.
There's Jeff Burrell, his name's in there too,
where?
right there.
Oh, right. Okay, see, he goes to Hilltop, right? He has Hilltop, and I think, am I right? Yeah, am I right about this being the city line, or not? Maybe not.
That's San Jose Road.
Okay, so where's the
There's
city?
Leisure Village.
Yeah, I think that's the city line here.
Where?
Oh,
First of all, can we come in on just this area here? That's the only thing that we care about. There you go. That, I think that road,
Yeah.
that line there
Yeah,
is the city line.
yeah.
But I'm not quite sure which is indicating Jeff Burrell boundary, are you?
No, this, Jeff Burrell's boundary goes this far, I know that.
Yes, but I'm not sure what all these other lines are.
those are all separate little
I
precincts.
don't know, does he have,
He has north of Upland.
no, he doesn't have Upland, because
No,
that's why,
North of Upland. He does.
This,
no, he
this,
doesn't.
okay, this right now is the
Where?
one, that, on the
Because
other
that's
map,
why Jeff started, it couldn't be part of the map.
And special district
Remember?
boundaries, get rid of those. There you go.
So, you're telling me, can I borrow your orange?
no, why are you looking way over here? This is our current map, the thing that he had up
He's telling me
before,
north
and then
of
he
Upland.
added this one.
North of
He's
Upland
telling me north
is,
of Upland.
north of Upland,
So you're saying Villatina is his?
I don't know the streets, but
That's
north of
gotta be-
Upland, north of Las Posas, all the way across to Spanish Hills is his district.
What?
Yep.
Okay, but that's why we say unincorporated.
So that brings Janice back into it.
No, she's in the city of Camarillo.
I know, that's what I understand, because he's saying Jeff's
Because
district.
the map is on
She's
the
not even-
unincorporated.
Right, okay.
She cannot be in the city.
No, but I'm saying, I didn't think his district went that far.
Yeah, we have that. I live north of Upland and I'm in it.
There you go.
It's got his name there.
So,
This is not very covered. Not,
I think the other map is better than.
yeah, but that, I recognize our current map here is that line there.
yeah.
So, I'm not sure, if this sounds, so this is the one he's adding.
Yeah, that's it, where your hand is a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what we're talking about is adding, you know, that bit, that one,
And Hilltop,
and Hilltop.
yeah. Because those are still the rurals. When you get to the other side,
What
you're
about-
getting into tract homes in Camarillo.
What about
Yeah, and I
this
don't
guy?
want to get into the track.
What about this guy?
That's,
That's the one that he's already adding, isn't that the one that was on the other map?
Oh, yeah, this is one he's
Yeah, where
adding.
your hand is now.
He moved the map, okay.
that's Gary. So,
And then it goes up here, and then it's just, that's the part where.
That's the part's been added.
Yeah, this is already in there.
That's been added,
And then it comes like this.
and that's the part I'm adding right there.
This is part you're adding.
And what you're saying is the one next to it.
yeah, we're
What
really
about
not adding a lot of houses here,
What
but we
about
are
up to
protecting
here,
against
though, about that?
far.
That's Parvin, I think, isn't it?
That's part.
That's,
I mean,
Worthway is Parvin.
that's Moorpark.
Yeah, we
City
don't
of
want
Moorpark.
I
Worthway.
don't want to go into Moore Park,
We do not want Worthway.
which is why I was going
Yeah,
this way.
yeah.
All right, so a northern boundary of North Park, Moore Park, a western boundary of Camarillo.
You're talking about these two here, right?
Okay,
No,
so
not the left one, the right one.
there, and then below there, those to me are the two areas we're gonna have a problem.
Which one?
with
Which one?
farmhousing.
Let me show you.
Right,
I got it,
There
okay.
and there. That's why I'm saying
Okay.
include those.
so we're not,
This is the city of Moorpark.
Right, so right
This
there.
is unincorporated county, this is unincorporated county south of Santa Rosa Road.
The
This is
question
where
is,
Maravilla
are we
Gardens
gonna
is,
include
that's
this?
what you've added already.
That's what I've added there.
The question is, do we add those two?
Or,
Okay.
wait, look, turn around. What about this one?
About that one.
804.
I know, we gotta go,
We're
guys.
talking about farmhousing.
You guys we gotta break
okay,
it
all
down.
right.
Time to go home.
Okay.
Okay, wait,
Will
do we
someone
have to talk
email
about
me?
the next meeting about where
Yeah,
it's
so
going to
we're
be?
gonna, okay, what's the motion? Let's get this over with.
Well,
Okay.
because there's a problem with they're doing work here and we won't have this room.
The motion is to add, what Mark was just saying, like, we're gonna go ahead and add what you wanted, and this one and that one. Whoa.
Whoops.
What I'm trying to do is see if I can get a precinct number.
Okay.
Okay, let's vote on it.
Wait,
All in favor?
Wait, we're missing that one that I
Okay. At west of what?
You're talking about this one here.
Okay, motion to extend map to Camarillo
I think you're talking about
The
that.
unincorporated
Yeah, that's my-
precincts
You're not worried about
that are,
farming.
within Jeff's.
I would include it.
I would include it.
Yeah, let's include it.
What does it hurt to?
Okay, guys, I need a motion and I need a vote.
Okay, so, I make a motion to include the following precinct. This one here, I don't know the name.
well, he wants the motion in
All
Jeff
the lands
Morrell's
going to
precincts in
the
the
incorporated
unincorporated
city of
area.
Camarillo.
That don't overlap with the city.
Morbar and to the west, Camarillo,
Morbach to the north and Camarillo to the west.
and to the south, I don't know what this area is called. Anybody know?
Okay, got it. We need a vote.
Okay,
All in
so
favor?
next first, who seconds it?
I'll second it.
Wait,
Ellen
wait,
seconds,
wait.
all in favor?
Who was first?
Michael Evans?
Michael
Yeah.
suggested it,
Kevin
seconded by
seconded.
Kevin.
All in favor? Aye.
We need
Okay,
a-
wait,
we need a-
don't we need to talk about the meeting place?
We need an adjournment. Okay, where's your place?
You wanna do it at my house?
Yeah.
Okay, my house,
Okay, next meeting is adjourned to,
to my home,
What day is that?
July.
What's it gonna be like?
It will not
July-
look like a Christmas party.
July,
What date is it?
July 18th.
July 18th.
Don't be a fruit cup.
That's the important question.
Don't be a fruit cup.
I need adjournment.
Why are we moving?
Okay,
Because
I'll
this
make a
place
motion
will
to
be closed.
adjourn.
I second the motion.
Amy seconds.
No. because of-
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so I'll see you all at July 18th at
We need that
in my
manual.
backyard.
I know, that's in the manual.